people often ask me, why autism? And very few know that my journey with autism begins with a snap. I was interning at a special school long back when I was assigned a student to complete an art activity. When I was soon met with a surprising slap, I had clearly missed some signs there. But that slap became a turning point and fueled my desire to understand him. At the end of the internship, the impact was clear on both of us. He had shown me a fascinating world and the power of connection. He unknowingly shaped my career path. I started Ishanya in 2015 with sheer love for teaching neurodivergent students. And it started with the simple thought that my life's purpose should be to make any person that comes my way feel like they belong. And that's the motto even to this day.
The money I received as a gift for my wedding, a portion of it went into funding my master's in special education, and a portion of it went into starting Ishanya. And that's how our journey began. I soon started working with a young boy who loved playing with blocks. He could go on and on for hours, building towers and castles. One morning, I presented him with a challenge. I took a cardboard box and I said, "Hey, see what you can do with this." He took the box, he started exploring. He took all his blocks, he tried to stack them up on the box, but they kept falling off. He took his blocks, put them inside the box, but it was too small. I was watching him from a distance. He was getting frustrated now. I thought he was going to take the box and just throw it away. But soon he had an idea. He took the box, he cut it open, he flattened it out, folded the box, creating a long winding path. And then he took the blocks, put them on the sides, creating a miniature racetrack. He was so excited with his creation that he called my name out for the first time. Imagine my happiness. It was literally
his out-of-the-box thinking, his creativity that led to solving this problem.
Both my stories highlight the diversity in the spectrum. While both the children were diagnosed with Autism Spectrum Disorder, they had their unique challenges and strengths. The first one, on the spectrum, nonverbal, had sensory sensitivities, and needed help with emotional regulation. But he was a great artist. The second one was verbal, had communication differences, and had great problem-solving skills. Diversity in all its forms and shapes is what makes our world so beautiful and interesting. But let me tell you something. This is not the understanding we had in the past. It reminds me of Dan Edmonds, an autistic self-advocate, who talks about empowerment in one of his articles. It begins with the idea that autism is like a disease that needs to be eradicated. This is ignorance. Then came the idea that autistic people are different, but it had an attitude of pity. This is tolerance. Then came the idea that autism is not a thing, it's a mode of being. This is awareness. From there, one began to look at not just the challenges, but also the strengths. And that is acceptance. From there, one began to consider respect, dignity, building personal agency, self-advocacy, and that is empowerment. So all that was needed was a shift in perspective. Neurodiversity has gained significant highlight in the recent years, with more and more celebrities openly talking about their experiences. While this certainly has a great impact, leading to increased research, more funding, we must also address the growing trend of self-diagnosis and the misuse of neurodiversity terminology. Self-diagnosis can trivialize the experiences of those who live with the condition. It will downplay its severity. We must remember that neurodivergence is a deviation from a neurotypical range of functioning. Not everyone is a neurodivergent because of the complex interplay of genetics, of environment, and individual factors that determine a person's neurological development and functioning. We must remember this to ensure those who are on the spectrum receive the support and the accommodations. Having said this, neurodivergence encompasses a wide range of conditions, including autism spectrum disorder, learning disabilities, ADHD, etc. Within the neurodiversity movement, autism, for example, is defined by the social model of disability, which says a person is disabled not because of the impairment, but because of the failure of the social environment to accommodate his needs. Even for those on the spectrum with high support needs, disability can often be minimized with the provision of appropriate tools. We work with so many young children on the spectrum, nonverbal. Outwardly, they appear as if they are not understanding anything. But the truth is, most often, they just need a different medium to communicate. And once that is provided, they show us a different world altogether. We worked with a young boy. He was 13 when he came to us. He wouldn't even sit. We had to run behind him to complete at least one activity. Eventually, we introduced him to an augmentative and alternative communication tool to help him communicate. What started as just babbling on the application on his tab soon turned into simple interactions. Recently, he was having an argument with his therapist on the application typing about IPL, and he ended the argument by saying, "Isala cup namde." It was a hilarious moment. We have so many young people writing blogs, publishing books, talking about their journey of finding their voice. So the capabilities and talents of those on the spectrum are not just recognized, but are even sought after, particularly in the workplace. More and more companies are starting to see neurodivergent members as a competitive edge. Yet, unemployment, underemployment remains incredibly high all over the world. One of the reasons for this could be that not enough time is spent on understanding the strengths and leveraging the strengths. From a medical perspective, most therapies are deficit-based. To put it crudely, hey, what are you bad at? What problems do you have? And how can I remediate that? However, the field has now evolved to adapt strength-based approaches. And when I mean leveraging strengths, it doesn't mean challenges are neglected. We will be putting our individuals in danger with an over-focus on strengths and forgetting that they have challenges for which they need solutions and accommodations. So friends, as a community, we must come together to provide opportunities for these individuals to experience success that they can capitalize on, to persevere through whatever challenges that they may have. And when I mean challenges that are not only intrinsic, but also those that are external, like societal attitude, lack of accommodation, accessibility, etc. India has a population of 3 crore people with disabilities according to the 2011 census. Unfortunately, we've not had census after that. But just hear me out. Of which 1.3 crore are employable, but only 34 lakh of them have been employed across various sectors, leading to a 7% loss to the GDP. And the numbers are incredibly high in reality. With regard to the neurodivergent population, the data is not even clearly available. Despite most companies' increased effort with regard to diversity, equity, inclusion, somehow the neurodivergent population is often overlooked. However, since the pandemic, we are seeing an increased interest in companies to hire neurodivergent individuals. We are working now with a number of companies to factor in the idea of extended training programs and paid internship opportunities to help them gain the right skills and find the right opportunities. In our country, many neurodivergent individuals do not have access to education, despite having all the policies that support them. So we must try new approaches to see what works. We worked with a young boy. He was 19 when he came to us. On the spectrum, he had severe mood swings, frequent anger outbursts, very poor self-confidence, which came out as behavioral challenges. Over the next few years, we worked with him on improving his cognitive abilities, communication skills, computer skills, worked on building that personal agency to advocate for himself. With a lot of hard work from his side and the support of his parents, his doctors, he got an internship opportunity at a company, which later got converted to a full-time role based on his performance. The company spent a lot of time with us, with him, his family, to truly understand his needs and to provide whatever accommodations he needed. And all of this was done not from a CSR point of view, but because they saw value in having him as a team member. So we can't just rely on white papers on the best practices of inclusion. The companies will need to invest time and resources to understand the community. And when we do that, it's us who benefit as a community, isn't it? There's so much each sector can gain from being inclusive to the neurodivergent talent. It could be their keen accuracy, attention to detail, reliability, perseverance, and so much more. At this point, I'm actually reminded of the famous Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, when you plant a lettuce and it doesn't grow well, you don't blame the lettuce, right? That's very silly. You look at the environmental conditions where the lettuce is growing in. It probably needs less water, more fertilizer, less sun, but we never blame the lettuce. Similarly, we must examine the environmental factors that impact our neurodivergent friends and make provisions to help them thrive. And when we do that, we benefit together. There's an article I read about David, a 33-year-old man on the spectrum. I'm sure he's much older now. He joined an MNC's global post-sales operation, and his team soon ran into a problem. There was no proper system to process the work order requests, which simply got piled up in the department's email inbox. David put together a ticket-based system to process these requests in an orderly fashion. Neatly queued up, the request became easy to visualize and track. It was his curiosity, his out of the box thinking that led to this solution. In the article, in fact, his manager talks about how having him as a team member has brought about overall changes in the organization. So, what organizations do to provide an inclusive environment to the neurodivergent workforce will have a spillover effect on the entire workforce. What managers learn by finding solutions to the unique needs of neurodivergent workforce can eventually be applied to the entire workforce. Common considerations for neurodivergent individuals may alter your traditional HR practices, but that's what will make the workplace better, safer, inclusive for everyone. There's a beautiful article in the magazine Psychology Today that talks about what a progressive society should do. And it clearly mentions that we must relieve the burden of neurological disability without changing who the person actually is. I would like to end by quoting Gloria Vanderbilt, the famous American writer, artist, who says, "We're not put on this earth to see through one another. We are put on this earth to see one another through." At the end of the day, my friends, differences can seem extremely challenging, but that's what makes our world so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Your talk was a path-breaking revelation. Not only did it sensitize us to this very relevant yet niche topic, it also showcased your stellar being, empathy, and kindness. We are exceptionally grateful to sharing you this award with you. This momentum.
Thank you.